Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 366 based on novel. So let's start. The yellow light seemed to be a callback to the origin. Everyone who was shrouded by it would feel the sense of reincarnation as the past flashed before their eyes, making it impossible to distinguish from the present. Spells controlled the power of the world and appeared in a special way. This was a Tao spell, and its power was related to one's cultivation level. Abilities were a method to explosively increase the power of spells, a method of gathering and manipulating origin energy. However, Tao was different. It was very rare for someone to know a Tao spell. Rumor had it that only people who entered the Tao realm could obtain one. Tao spells were similar to battles between domains, but the route was very different. A battle of domains was a competition of one's domain and a battle of the mind. However, a Tao spell was a sublime power that specialized in killing the soul. Everyone gains different comprehension in the Tao realm. When the white-haired old man became a member of the Seal Extermination clan, he had the privilege to enter the Tao realm for a short period of time. There he understood a truth about a person's origin. What was the origin of a person? In his view, it was the memories of the soul. He believed that a person's entire life was actually just memories. If the memories were not extinguished, then even if that person died, that person could live indefinitely. Similarly, if the memories of all the comprehension a person had of their domain was wiped away without a trace as if it never existed, then his memories would be incomplete. These incomplete memories would make that person fall and become immortal. At this moment, the white-haired old man used the very rare Tao spell he had comprehended from the Tao realm. The Ji realm represented an extreme force, the Sha realm represented creativity, and the Tao realm represented an inextinguishable might. The yellow light filled the world. This light was soft, but it could penetrate all things in this world. When it fell on Wang Lin, it pierced through the battle domain around him and directly landed in the memories of his soul. 3 breaths of time is enough. The white-haired old man closed his eyes. All his vitality disappeared as if he had died. Wang Lin felt the world turn. In his eyes, the 7-colored sky was no longer there, and it continued to spin until it turned into a blue sky filled with white clouds. The sky was very blue and clear. The earth also rapidly trembled. He saw an illusion that the earth beneath him disappeared layer by layer. The mountains in the distance shrank until everything disappeared and turned into a luscious, green forest. A small path appeared beside him. This path was a dirt road that led into the luscious, green forest. At this moment, the wind blew and the leaves rattled. The wind carried an earthy fragrance that was intoxicating. It seems. I fell asleep. Wang Lin opened his sleepy eyes and looked ahead. After a long time, he looked back and saw that at the end of the path was a calm, mountain village. There was smoke coming from the houses as well as sounds of children playing mixed with dogs barking. I seem to have had a dream. Wang Lin scratched his face, and his honest face revealed a confused expression. He picked up the book next to him and stood up. He looked at the forest in the distance and vaguely saw the misty mountains in the distance and pavilions that belonged to the sect on the mountain. In the dream, I became an immortal, and experienced more than 1,000 years of cultivation. I must have become tired from studying to have such a strange dream. Wang Lin was confused and entered a daze. While in a daze, a voice entered Wang Lin's ears. "Taishu, your dad is looking for you. Why haven't you gone home?" It was a middle-aged man holding a hunting pitchfork. He was about to leave the village to hunt. Beside the middle-aged man stood several stout young men. One of them looked at Wang Lin and laughed. "Taishu, study well and place highly in the imperial test. Allow our little village to have a moment of fame." Wang Lin scratched his head and said hello to everyone before heading off toward the village. Good-natured laughter accompanied him as he went farther and farther away. This is really strange. That dream is a bit too real. Red Butterfly, Li Muwen, Liu Mai, Mu Bingmai, Lu Yanfei, Li Qianmai. There were also Yun Qzi, Zhu Qzi, Zichu Nan, the All-Seer, and so on. Also, Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor, Azure Dragon Divine Emperor, Tuor Senator Tu Sai. I remember accepting 2 disciples. One was named 13 and other Xie Qing. As Wang Lin walked, his mind was still a blur. There is an ancient god on planet Suzaku? Outside planet Suzaku, there is also the Corpse Sect? And the Cultivation Alliance? The 4 Divine Sect? The place I'm in is called the Alliance Star System. In my dream, I also went to the All Heaven Star System and the Cloud Sea Star System. I also went to the Celestial Realm. Wang Lin was dazed for a long time. When he raised his head, he was already outside his house. He shook his head and let out a sigh as he muttered, "That dream was very strange. It seems father and mother were dead in my dream." He no longer thought about the strange dream and pushed open the door that led into the yard. The moment he went in, he saw his father holding a pipe. He shook it on the floor before staring at Wang Lin. Seeing his father's stern gaze, Wang Lin felt his heart skip a beat. "Taishu, how is your studying?" Wang Lin softly said, "Going well. HMPH, Taishu, you have to study well. Next year is the big county exam. Whether or not you will have good prospects for the future will depend on you. Don't be stuck in a village like this forever like your dad, alas." Wang Lin's father shook his head and stood up. At this moment, his mother came out and complained to his father for a bit before she brought out food. The family sat down in the courtyard and began to eat. Wang Lin hesitated for a bit before looking at his father and softly saying, "Dad, I had a dream." Before he could finish speaking, the sound of carriages and a knock came from the gate. Wang Lin was startled. He remembered from the dream that it was 4th uncle who arrived. "Second brother, open the door." Wang Lin subconsciously stood up, ran toward the gate, and opened the door. He saw a burly man standing outside with a pair of fierce eyes. He rubbed Wang Lin's head and laughed. "Taishu, I haven't seen you in half a year and you've grown taller again." Wang Lin's eyes revealed a trace of confusion. He didn't know what to do and sat back down. He was in a daze for a long time, and after a while, he heard 4th uncle's voice. "Second brother, second sister-in-law, I want to tell you something. The Hangyu sect is accepting disciples. I want Taishu to go try to get in. Once he enters the sect, he will become an immortal. It is a very rare opportunity." Immortal? Can this child do it? Wang Lin's father became excited but was uncertain. The immortals are accepting disciples and there is some kind of test. Let Taishu go take it. After hearing this, Wang Lin's body was startled and he looked at his 4th uncle and father. His vision blurred again and the scene of his dream seemed to be moved by a strange force. They appeared one by one in his mind. He saw himself walk out from the mountain village and fail the test. Under the taunting of his family, he left the mountain village on his own and was resting on a cliff. A tiger suddenly attacked him from behind, and when he fell down the cliff, he was sucked into a strange cave. Inside the cave, he picked up a bead. The moment his right hand touched the bead, he suddenly heard an outburst in his ear. "Heaven! Heaven defying!" This voice was very, very familiar. It was as if he had heard this voice before. But no matter how much he thought about it, he couldn't remember where he had heard his voice before. However, this outburst was replaced by a miserable cry. It was that familiar voice again, and it seemed to be suffering unimaginable pain. As the miserable cry echoed, Wang Lin's world seemed to have started collapsing, and 7-colored light unexpectedly started to appear. In an instant, his vision blurred as if the power controlling his own memories had gone out of control and he jumped ahead several years. His surroundings changed drastically and he was quickly escaping. The forest appeared in the corner of his eyes. He was very fast and the feeling of a life and death crisis filled his mind. "You can't escape from me, Teng Li." A gloomy voice came from behind as a youth with a cold gaze calmly chased him. During this life and death crisis, Wang Lin's vision suddenly became a blurry as the miserable scream echoed in his ears. The sound became more and more clear, and he had a feeling that he was about to remember who that voice belonged to. However, just at this moment, his surroundings changed again. At this moment, he was inside a large valley. A sense of grief and sorrow he had never felt before washed over him. No matter how loudly he roared, he couldn't vent the sorrow in his heart. Tang family. As long as I, Wang Lin, live, then one day I'll turn your Tang family into a river of blood and dye the country of Jiao red. I'll wipe out your entire Tang family and leave no one alive. If I violate this oath, let me be hacked to pieces, die a terrible death, and sink forever into hell. Wang Lin seemed to have gone crazy as the endless sorrow drowned him. The pain was heart-piercing. Kneeling on the ground, tears flowed out from his eyes. His bloodshot eyes revealed a madness that didn't seem to belong to a human. His hair turned white overnight and his surroundings became as cold as winter. An unspeakable force was born in his body. This power didn't belong to a mortal, but at this moment, Wang Lin obtained it. This was the peak of slaughter and the limit of strength. It was called G. The moment the G realm was born, that miserable scream echoed, and it was filled with unimaginable shock. G? It is unexpectedly G. What has he been through in his life? For G to appear? The heaven-defying bead is in his hand and the G realm is in his hands. This person, panic filled the voice, and it became even more clear as it echoed. The sky collapsed, the earth collapsed, and the seven-colored light filled the world. As the world collapsed, Wang Lin still knelt there. It was as if the collapse of the world couldn't attract his attention at all. The rumbles echoed for a long time before Wang Lin raised his head. Tears still flowed down from his face, but his eyes were filled with clarity. This is the seven-colored realm. You force me to remember the painful past. I want you to pay the price of death. Wang Lin's voice was low, but every word contained monstrous killing intent. The moment his voice echoed, the rumbling became even more intense. The sky was torn open and the blue sky was no longer there. Instead, it was replaced by the sky of the seven-colored realm. The earth trembled and collapsed layer by layer. Finally, it became a ruined land burned by fire. It was the land of the seven-colored realm. The white-haired old man's chest was stained with blood, and there was still blood flowing out from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were blurry, they were filled with disbelief and shock. In truth, the moment he saw the heaven-defying bead in Wang Lin's memories, his Dao spell collapsed and his vitality was extinguished. The shock he felt was like millions of bolts of thunder exploding in his ears. It filled him with fear. Then, when the Dao spell was collapsing, he saw Wang Lin's G realm being born. This caused him to cough out blood and he became extremely weak. He almost lost the ability to think as he lost his wits. This became a battle of his Dao spell against the G realm, the Dao spell against the heaven-defying bead. He had no chance of victory. Wang Lin raised his head, and the moment he uttered those words filled with killing intent, he charged out like lightning toward the old man. His fingers formed a sword and pointed directly to between the old man's eyebrows. The old man's body trembled and blood sprayed out from the back of his head as his skull shattered. Wang Lin didn't stop here and pointed 6 times in a row. The popping sounds were earth-shattering. The old man's arm collapsed, his legs collapsed, and in the blink of an eye, his body turned into a mist of blood. Inside the fog, the old man's origin soul screamed and was surrounded by a 7-colored glow as he escaped into the distance. Wang Lin was filled with killing intent as he chased after him. While he chased, he pointed at the old man, and every time he did so, the 7-colored light would tremble. The old man's origin soul let out miserable screams and became weaker and weaker. He chased closely behind the old man. It had been a long time since he wanted to kill anyone this much. Anyone who made him recall his memories had touched his bottom line and had to die. As he chased, the old man surrounded by the 7-colored light charged for the mountain. He was filled with panic and continued to scream in his heart. "Sovereign, save me! Sovereign, save me! Stop for me!" The madness in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger and he waved his right hand. The 7-colored light suddenly paused. At this moment, Wang Lin charged in and his 2 fingers pierced through the 7-colored light, landing directly on the old man's origin soul. With a bang, the old man's origin soul was about to collapse. However, he was, after all, a late-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. He was seriously injured but not dead as he struggled to escape even faster. While pursuing, Wang Lin let out a roar at the sky and the blue flame appeared in his left eye. The seal trembled, but in the end it collapsed before the blue flame. The seal dissipated and Wang Lin was surrounded by a sea of fire. He pointed forward and the monstrous flames charged at the seven-colored light surrounding the old man's origin soul. Miserable screams echoed. This time the white-haired old man's origin soul was extremely weak. 4 of the 7 colors around him dissipated. The 2 of them were both moving very fast, but the distance between them was getting smaller and smaller. Just at this moment, the lightning mark appeared in his right eye. There was also a seal on it, but it only struggled for a few breaths before it collapsed. Without the seal, thunder rushed out and danced within the fire. Rumbles shook the heavens and earth as the endless thunderbolts whistled through the fire. They all charged at the old man under Wang Lin's command. A thunderous rumble echoed and the remaining 3 colors around the old man collapsed into specks of light. Without the 7-colored light protecting him, the old man's origin soul was exposed to the blue fire and thunder. No! Sovereign, save me! The old man's expression was filled with the fear of death as he let out a roar. At this moment, he had already reached the mountain deep within the 7-colored realm. However, just as he got close, Wang Lin let out a roar and the blue fire immediately shot out and surrounded his origin soul. From afar, it was impossible to see the old man's figure. The thing that could be seen was a sea of blue fire. Thunder gathered from all directions as if all the thunder in the world was congregating toward the old man's origin soul. The moment the thunder gathered, all the fire in the world also gathered toward the trapped old man. All of this happened in a flash, fast beyond imagination. All the fire in the world suddenly gathered at one point. The thunder gathered as well, forming a combined attack of fire and thunder. There were 2 circles contracting. One was the sea of blue fire and the other was all the thunder in the world. The moment the 2 circles overlapped into one point, the world trembled. A heaven-shaking rumble replaced all sound, causing the 7-colored realm to collapse once more. A sharp and miserable scream dissipated inside this rumble. A pillar of blue fire shot directly into the sky as if it was going to pierce the heavens. Countless thunderbolts filled the inside and outside of this fire pillar, forming a pillar of thunder that overlapped with the pillar of fire and also pierced the heavens. This scene could be clearly seen from anywhere within the 7-colored realm. Inside the 7-colored realm, Chen Qianjun felt his ears go deaf from this rumble. His body trembled, his origin soul trembled, and shock mixed with fear filled his body. This feeling lingered and wouldn't dissipate. He stared dumbfoundedly at the fire and thunder pillar in the distance. His throat became dry and his face turned pale. Killing a late-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. His name will become famous in the Cloud Sea. I, Chen Qianjun, am honored to be able to witness his spell right now. In the distance, the old woman in green was pale as she stared at the fire and thunder in the distance. There was fear in her eyes. She could clearly feel that if she were to face any one of the 2, she would without a doubt die. Her mind trembled and she couldn't help but feel fear, especially when she thought about how they were enemies, which terrified her. There was no cultivator that didn't cherish their life, and this was even more so with her. I must make up with this person and make up for the conflict we had before. Otherwise, with this person as my enemy, there will be no place for me in the Cloud Sea. Fortunately, our conflict isn't deep and there isn't any direct feud. The old woman in green took a deep breath and made up her mind. Even further away, Master Cloud Soul had a face filled with bitterness. He naturally sensed the fight and felt a complicated feeling. There was an even stronger sense of panic within him. This panic was like a fire that was going to burn his mind. How could he be this strong? Even now, Master Cloud Soul couldn't believe this, and fear filled his heart. Ever since he was teleported here, he had been living in fear. He hated Wang Lin and wanted to devour Wang Lin's flesh and blood. However, after he watched the battle, he was shocked and couldn't accept this truth. After a moment, Master Cloud Soul let out a miserable smile and his eyes became filled with crazed killing intent. This person would never let me go, and he must be seriously injured after the battle against the late-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. I might still have a chance. If he recovers, then I will undoubtedly die, but if he is seriously injured, then I might still have a chance in an all-out fight against him. Once I kill him, everything in the seven-colored realm will belong to me. Master Cloud Soul's heart was moved. Before entering the seven-colored realm, he was confident in killing Wang Lin. However, now, even though he thought Wang Lin was seriously injured, he still felt nervous like a mortal attempting to kill a celestial. This change was enough to show Master Cloud Soul's subconscious fear of Wang Lin. He clenched his teeth and charged ahead. The fire and thunder pillar slowly dissipated. The old man's origin soul had disappeared from this world completely. Even after his death, the so-called sovereign he kept calling never appeared. Looking at the mountain ahead, Wang Lin silently pondered. After the thunder and fire dissipated and all sound disappeared, bursts of miserable wails came from the top of the mountain. The painful wails were like someone's unwilling roar before death, but they still weren't able to escape fate in the end. Wang Lin vaguely felt the battle tattoo in his body tremble, as if there was something on the mountain that made it excited. After a long time, Wang Lin lifted his feet and walked forward. He wasn't fast. He slowly walked up the mountain until he arrived outside the cave. Standing here was as if he was standing at the peak of the seven-colored realm. It seemed like he could see the entire realm at a glance. From this position, the wailings from the cave was even more clear. It was as if countless people were inside, enduring unbearable pain. At this moment, in the ancient star system, inside the palace, the fire on the candle burned brightly and the withered hand slowly withdrew. The heat has reached the right temperature. However, this fire isn't the right kind yet. Because it hasn't boiled the soul yet, an ancient voice slowly said from behind the candle. A pseudo-sealing extermination clan member died. Do you have any doubts about the cause of his death? An indifferent voice said. Why should I doubt? I'll know the answer after the Tao has been planted. This will be more interesting. The unknown has the most wonderful taste. The wait is eternal anticipation. So let the fire go crazy. Looking at the cave, Wang Lin's eyes shined. He raised his foot and walked closer step by step. He got closer and closer to the cave. However, when he was within 10 feet of the cave, a giant vortex appeared in the sky of the seven-colored realm. It created a strange sound that would disturb one's mind. When people heard it, an invisible fire would arise in their hearts. Wang Lin's body trembled as he raised his head and stared at the vortex that appeared in the sky. His gaze seemed to penetrate the vortex in the sky and see a star system with an indescribable temple. His gaze stopped there, and a crazed feeling appeared inside Wang Lin's heart. This feeling arrived in an extremely strange way, but he couldn't stop it. Just at this moment, the seven-colored light in the seven-colored realm became even more dense. All the seven-colored light in the world charged at Wang Lin. It was as if Wang Lin had become the source of the seven-colored realm and all the seven-color light was attracted to him. It surrounded him and drilled into his body. In just a few short breaths of time, the seven-colored light intensified even more. Endless seven-colored light closed in. As the large amount of light drilled into Wang Lin's body, he remained motionless. His mind was grasped by an indescribable force, making it impossible to control his body as the seven-colored light charged at his body. The seven-colored light became more and more intense until it seemed like all the seven-colored light in the realm was gathering here. The outer region of the realm was no longer filled with seven-colored light and was dark. If you looked from above, you would clearly see that the seven-colored realm was like a giant circle. And all the seven-colored light was rapidly condensing toward Wang Lin. The madness inside Wang Lin's body became even stronger when the seven-colored light entered his body. Eventually, it became like a seven-colored ocean that drowned his mind and replaced it with endless madness. A madness just like that of Qing Shui in the past. This madness caused Wang Lin's face to become twisted, the veins on his face swelled, his eyes turned blood red, and he let out a world-shattering roar. This roar was like the roar of a beast that echoed across the world. It turned into a thunderous rumble that echoed across the realm. More and more seven-colored light entered Wang Lin's body. His body trembled and he wanted to struggle, but the more he struggled, the more intense that sense of madness became. He continued to roar, and in just this short period of time, he became soaked in sweat. His hair moved without any wind and his eyes became more and more red. Wang Lin had become mad. He lost his mind, lost his consciousness, and lost his memory. The world before him became blood red. The only thought in his mind was kill, 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 kill. Kill all living things, killing the world. A sense of violence filled his heart. At this moment, even if Li Muwen appeared before him, he wouldn't have hesitated to kill. The feeling of madness completely suppressed Wang Lin's mind. He was like a beast filled with killing intent. As the killing intent increased, the feeling of madness also intensified. At this moment, 70% of the seven-colored light in the seven-colored realm had already entered Wang Lin's body. More than half of the realm was in darkness. Roar? Wang Lin let out a roar, and his expression was terrifying enough to shock anyone who knew him. As the seven-colored light continued to enter his body, he sunk forever into slaughter. His body was filled with unimaginable origin energy. He couldn't feel the intense pain in his body, the only thing that remained was slaughter. The fire from his left eye flew out and immediately surrounded his body. The thunder from his right eye shot out and surrounded the area. The mountain he was on trembled violently. The seven-colored light didn't pause and continued to arrive. The surrounding world became dark at a visible rate. Soon, the seven-colored light disappeared, and there was not a speck of light remaining. All the light had been absorbed into Wang Lin's body and became the source of his madness. The moment when no light remained in the seven-colored realm, Wang Lin let out a crazed roar. His eyes were blood red. He wanted to destroy everything, including himself. This is the most wonderful fire in the world. It is called the rage. Take your rage, use your madness to boil your soul, and grow the Tao for this old man. Add the last Tao will. This old man really wants to know if you can burn my finger. Would it? An ancient voice slowly came from the vortex in the sky. It seemed to penetrate space and time and seemed to contain marks left by the passage of time. Wang Lin lost consciousness and his body fell. His origin soul, his soul, and everything beside his body all turned into a ray of red light. It was as if he was burning as he charged into the cave. There was a large amount of bubbling lava giving off black gas inside. There were also countless chains, and on each chain hung a dried-up skeleton. There were also countless jades floating in the air, and there were heaps of Tao intent sealed inside each jade. The wailings were coming from inside the jades. The magma wasn't deep, so you could vaguely see under it. There were countless runes engraved under the manga, and they gave off a faint light. Every time the light flashed, bursts of Tao intent would enter the magma and be absorbed by the runes. Also, drops of black liquid would drip from the skeletons and into the magma. This would cause the magma to boil. The moment the red light Wang Lin turned into entered, all the jades suddenly collapsed and the endless Tao intent entered the magma. At the same time, all the skeletons collapsed into large amounts of black liquid and fused with the magma. In an instant, even more bubbles appeared above the magma. The magma began to spin, and the runes under the magma melted, forming an unimaginable suction force. The moment Wang Lin entered, it began to devour Wang Lin. This magma rotated faster and faster. In just a moment, it seemed to penetrate the cave and created a passage to a connected space. This was a boundless space with countless stars inside, forming a giant formation. This formation was very large, at least the size of the Alliance star system. Every single star was a part of the formation. At the center of the formation were 7 flower-like plants. Each of the 7 was a different color, forming the 7 colors of the rainbow. They weren't very big, only thousands of feet wide. Compared to this vast formation, they were truly insignificant in size. However, this formation existed precisely because of these 7 plants. This entire space and formation existed to provide nutrients for these 7 plants. The power of the stars, the power of countless planets, the power of countless spatial cracks like the 7-colored realm absorbed endless Tao. Then this Tao was turned into nutrients to nourish these 7 plants until they grow, flower, and finally form fruits. This star system didn't exist, But someone had used a powerful spell to create this space around the sealing formation, and it became part of the sealing formation. This way, every time someone inside the sealed realm died, their Dao would be absorbed, becoming nutrients for the plants. This was planting Dao. This has been going on for countless years. It constantly absorbed the Dao intent of all the people that died inside the sealed realm. During the time of the ancient Celestials, they didn't have Dao, so this formation absorbed the laws the Celestials cultivated as nutrients. During the time of ancient cultivators, there were no laws, so the formation absorbed the origin energy the ancient cultivators had as nutrients. These were the methods used to nourish these 7 plants for the Dao fruits to form. There was a skeleton sitting on the crimson red plant. There were countless golden words carved on the skeleton. The words gave off a black light, which was then quickly absorbed by the plant. This crimson red plant had blood red delicate petals, but most of the petals had already fallen off with only a few remaining. When all the petals had fallen off, this crimson red flower would form its fruit. Just at this moment, a crack appeared next to this flower, and a ray of red light shot out from the crack into the flower. This red light contained Wang Lin's origin soul and soul. It was absorbed into the plant next to the skeleton. The plant seemed to be absorbing the last bit of nutrients as the last few petals fell and the center began to move strangely. A crimson red fruit slowly formed. Time slowly went by. An unknown amount of time passed, and it seemed to go on for an eternity. The crack outside the plant gradually shrank as if it was going to dissipate. Wang Lin had already dissipated inside the plant, and red liquid filled the area he was at. The skeleton beside him also dissipated. It turned into a purplish gold liquid and became part of the red liquid. Time passed. 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years. It seemed a very long time had passed. Less and less red liquid remained as it became nourishment for the fruit's growth. As the amount of liquid decreased, the fruit gradually grew. It was tender and moist, as if it was formed by fresh blood. A total of 98 years passed. You once asked me if the fire would burn my finger. Now I can answer you. It won't, an ancient voice echoed inside the star system. A fruit is about to form from one of the 7 colored flowers. The other 6 fruits are also not far away. This old man was convinced by the sovereign back then to not face the void turbulent realm and chose to stop cultivating. I chose to not find out if the heaven-trampling 4th step really exists and instead willingly became the caretaker for this red plant, all in hopes that his heavenly plan will succeed. It seems like that day is not far. This video will end here.